Emunah, the mitzvah to know that Hashem exists. Leida sheyesh sham Eloka. Anoichi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzesicha eretz Mitzrayim. The greatest event in world history was when Hashem spoke to us these words at Har Sinai and gave us His Torah. First, Hashem showed us some of His power when we saw water turn into blood. Then He turned dust into lice. We saw Hashem's control over wild animals when they only attacked the Egyptians. We saw Hashem control the wind blowing the locust to attack Mitzrayim. He made 6 days of darkness for the Egyptians, while the Jews had daylight. Hashem sent 10 makkos against Mitzrayim for us to see how He controlled every part of creation: water, earth, animals, wind, light, darkness, and then life itself, with the death of every firstborn in Egypt. Then when Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim and split the Yam Suf, and spoke to us Himself, over 3 million Jews at Har Sinai. At first there was the blast of the shofar. It kept getting louder and louder. Dark clouds covered the top of Har Sinai, and giant flames of fire were flaming into the sky from atop the mountain with thunder and lightning. And then suddenly there was total silence, no sound of birds or animals. Everything in the entire world went silent as Hashem spoke to us. I am Hashem, your power. And do you know how you know this? Because you witnessed my power destroy the greatest empire in the world. You experienced me taking you out of Egypt, and you witnessed my control over all the powers in creation. And that is how we know that Hashem exists. Hashem was with us then and has been with us throughout history. So the mitzvah of Emunah means I know that Hashem exists in my life all the time. And even when I don't understand why He does certain things, I still know that everything is for the best, because whatever He does is part of His perfect plan for the world. And that is why we say Gamzu L'Tova when things look bad, because we believe and know that they are all part of Hashem's perfect plan. This mitzvah is one of 6 mitzvahs that we can do every single second of our lives. Zulasai. Know that there are no other powers except Hashem. Lo yeh lecha elikim acherim al panai. Don't believe in any other powers besides me. This mitzvah means that Hashem wants me to know that there are no other powers except Him. Hashem wants me to know that all powers in creation, the sun, moon, and stars, wind, water, rain, and gravity, all are powered by Hashem. They have no power on their own, and Hashem has no partners to help Him. Every living creature, every animal, bird, fish, and even the tiniest insects are only alive because of Hashem. Every detail of the entire universe all get their power from Hashem. Every time you think of how all the powers of the world really have no power of their own, they all get their power from Hashem, you get this Torah mitzvah. This is one of the 6 constant mitzvahs. This mitzvah is done with your thoughts, and this mitzvah is for boys and girls. Every second of your waking life, you can do this mitzvah just by thinking of it. This is a lo saseh, a don't do mitzvah, done any moment of your life, 24/7, 365, 120. Echad. Hashem is one. Shema Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen, every single Jew. Hashem is our constant power. He is the only one. It is a mitzvah to know and believe, with all our thoughts and with all our heart, that Hashem is the only one power in all the universe. Hashem wants me to say out loud every morning and every evening the words, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. These are the last words we say before our neshamas leave our body. And Hashem wants me to know that everything that happens, both good and what might not look so good, really come from the same one power, Hashem Himself. Every time I think how Hashem is the only power, I get a Torah mitzvah. This mitzvah is done with your thoughts. You can get this mitzvah when you talk about Hashem being the only one power in the universe. This is anaseh, a do mitzvah. It's done any moment of your life, 24/7, 365, 120. Its mitzvah is for boys and girls. Ahavas Hashem, love Hashem. Ve'ohavta eis Hashem leikecha, love Hashem, who is your constant power. It is a mitzvah to look for reasons that will make you love Hashem. The easiest way to do this is by counting the kindness Hashem does for you every single second. When we think about the billions of things Hashem does inside our body to keep us alive, we will feel a love for Hashem. When we think about the billions of things Hashem does outside our bodies to give us life, like rain, sunshine, gravity, air, wind, fruit and vegetables, we are filled with more and more reasons to love Hashem. If a king sent you a letter giving you instructions how to make the king happy, you would read it not just once, you would read it again and again and again, many, many times. Why? Because you want to make sure you do everything the king asks you to do. You want him to know how much you love him. The Torah is like a letter from the King of Kings. He gave us laws of how to please him. Learning Hashem's perfect Torah is another way to love Hashem. Every time we thank Hashem and say out loud, I love you Hashem, we get a Torah mitzvah. Every time you say Gamzu l'Tova, this too is for the best, you get a mitzvah. Every time you say Kol de Ovid Rachmana l'Tav Ovid, everything Hashem does is for the good, you get a mitzvah. When you spend your money on mitzvos, you also show your love for Hashem. This is one of 6 constant mitzvahs. This is a mitzvahs aseh. It is for men and ladies. And this mitzvah can be done in your mind or with your mouth. Done any moment of your life, 24/7, 365, 120. Yiras Hashem, to be in awe of Hashem. Es Hashem leikecha tira. It is a great mitzvah to be in awe of Hashem. Hashem is awesome. Imagine the king invites you to his palace. Boy, are you excited. But you're also a little scared in case you might say something or do something to upset the king. You walk through the beautiful palace gardens and arrive at the king's stunning palace. A servant gives you a letter from the king with instructions of how to behave in his palace. You read them very carefully, again and again, to be sure you do everything as the king asks. You are both happy to please the king and nervous because you do not want to do anything wrong to upset the king. Actually, this story is a real moshel. Hashem is the King of Kings, and his palace is really the whole world. The mitzvah of Yiras Shamayim really means fear of the heavens, because when you stare at the clouds, the rain, gravity, wind, and sunshine, which are in Shamayim, you are filled with awe for Hashem's beautiful palace. This mitzvah is about being filled with awe of Hashem and of fear to upset him. This mitzvah can be done every waking second of our lives, 24/7, 365, 120. This mitzvah is an aseh for both men and ladies. Kiddush Hashem. Be a Kiddush Hashem. V'nigdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. Imagine a king invites you to be his ambassador. That means someone who represents the king. The king gives you a book of instructions so you know how to behave as his ambassador. The instructions also give you a list of behaviors you are not allowed to do because you are an ambassador of the king. When people meet you and find out you're an ambassador to the king, they are so impressed by your behavior, the way you dress, the way you walk, the way you speak kind words, saying please and thank you and excuse me. They say, I see why the king chose this person to be his ambassador. He or she behaves so beautifully. He really is a very good commercial for the king. Actually, this is a moshel. The king is really Hashem, the King of Kings. He gave every Jew the job of being his ambassador, representing the king wherever we go. Our yarmulke and our tzitzis are part of our uniform of the king. Dressing b'tznius is part of the uniform of being an ambassador for Hashem. Every time we do one of the king's mitzvos, we are a kiddush Hashem, which means we are a good commercial for Hashem. When we say please and thank you to another Jew or non-Jew, we are being a good example, and that is a kiddush Hashem. When we really love Hashem, we are extra careful to behave in ways that make others love Hashem too. Avraham Avinu and Sarah Imenu loved Hashem so much that they caused many thousands of people to follow in their ways. Every time you do any of the 248 mitzvahs Haseh, you get this mitzvah. Every time 10 or more Jews see you do any mitzvah, you get this mitzvah, and it's called Kiddush Hashem Barabim, making a public Kiddush Hashem. The reward of doing any mitzvah in front of 10 Jews or more is fantastic. And every time you refuse to do an Aveira, you get this mitzvah. And this mitzvah is for men and ladies. Chilul Hashem. Don't be a Chilul Hashem. V'lo yischalalu es shem kodshi. Imagine, a king invites you to be his ambassador. That means someone who represents the king. Someone who represents the king means he must really behave well, because everyone knows he's a very important servant of the king. The king gives you a book of instructions so that you'll know how to behave as his ambassador. The instructions also gives you a list of behaviors you are not allowed to do, because again, you are an ambassador of the king. When people meet you and find out you are an ambassador of the king, they are so impressed by your behavior, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you speak kind words, saying please and thank you and excuse me. They say, I see why the king chose this person to be his ambassador. He or she behaves so beautifully. He really is a very good commercial for the king. But what if the ambassador breaks the rules and doesn't follow the instructions the king gave him? What if the king's ambassador is rude, saying unkind words, does not act honestly? What will people say? They will say, this man is a bad example for the king. This man is embarrassing the king with his shameful behavior. Actually, this is a mashal. The king is really Hashem, the king of kings. He gave every Jew the job of being his ambassador, representing the king wherever we go. If a Jew, chas v'sholom, does one of the aveiros the king said not to do, it shames Hashem and is a bad commercial for Hashem. Every time you refuse to do an aveira, one of the 365 don't do's in the Torah, you avoid being a chil Hashem, and instead you are a huge kiddush Hashem. When a Jew does one of the 365 aveiros of the Torah, he is a chilul Hashem and a bad example to others. But of course, he can still do tshuva and correct himself. Every time 10 or more Jews see another Jew do any of the 365 lo sasa, don't do's of the Torah, it's called a chilul Hashem berabim, a public chilul Hashem. This aveira upsets Hashem very, very much. This aveira is for men and ladies. La'abed, do not erase Hashem's name. V'lo yisasun kein laHashem Elokeichem. This mitzvah means I must not destroy anything with Hashem's name on it. There are 7 very special names of Hashem. 1 is Yod Kei Vav Kei, or Aleph Daled Nun Yud. 2, Kel. 3, Eloka. 4, Elokim. 5, Elokai. 6, Shakai. 7, Tzva'os. If one of these 7 names was written on wood or metal, the wood or metal with Hashem's name on it must be cut out and buried. The Chachamim taught us that any Torah text or worn-out siddur is not allowed to be destroyed. That is why we put any words of the Torah into a box called Shemos, and then those papers are buried. If you see a siddur worn out or torn, don't destroy it. If you write one of Hashem's 7 most special names by mistake, don't erase it. If a Sefer Torah or mezuzah or parshios inside a tefillin become puzzle, don't throw them in the garbage, chas v'sholom. Instead, put them into a shemes box, and then they are to be buried. If a Sefer Torah has a mistake, either repair it or put them into a shemus box. The Mizbeach in the Beis Hamikdash was made up of many stones. If one of those stones of the Mizbeach cracked or broke, they become puzzle. They were not thrown away, since it was used for Kedusha. It was stored away or buried, but not thrown away. This mitzvah is a lo saseh. This mitzvah is for men and ladies. Lishmaya. Listen to a real Navi of Hashem. Navi mekir b'cha me'achecha kamoini, yokim l'cha Hashem alekecha, elav tishmaon. Hashem will set up for you a Navi from your people. Listen to that Navi. If you hear the king tell you that you can trust the king's top minister to tell you whatever the king told him, you know you can trust this minister. If the king also tells you to trust all the king's future ministers, you can do so. Hashem is the real king of all kings, and he has already told us we can trust Moshe Rabbeinu and all future Nevi'im to tell us what Hashem told them to tell us. A real Navi is someone who has spent his entire life becoming a Talmid Chacham, wise in Torah, and a tzaddik in all his behaviors. This mitzvah means we must trust a true Navi who says Hashem spoke to him and has sent a message for us to listen to. The main job of a Navi was to give us guidance and encourage us to do tshuva when we've made mistakes. A Navi would also tell us what Hashem will do in the future. Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest of all Nevi'im. While all other Nevi'im Hashem spoke to in their dreams, however, when Hashem spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu, it was face to face. Hashem gave him many nevuos that will happen in the future. Most of those nevuos have already come true. Unfortunately, we have not deserved a Navi since the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. And until Eliyahu Navi comes to tell us Mashiach is arriving, there will be no Nevi'im. This mitzvah is an asay for men and ladies. L'nasais. Don't overtest Hashem. Lo senasus Hashem alekeichem kasha nisisem b'masa. It is a mitzvah not to overtest a true Navi. Once a Navi has shown us a sign that he's a real prophet, and it came true in every detail, we do not have to ask him again for another sign that Hashem really spoke to him. If another true Navi already told you that this other person is a real Navi, you can trust the second Navi. This mitzvah also means that we must not test Hashem himself. Instead, we must trust him completely. A true Navi will never ask you to go against the Torah. A real Navi was known as a tzaddik and a Talmid Chacham from a very young age. False prophets gave signs of what will happen, and sometimes parts of them actually became true, but not in every detail. We are actually allowed to test Hashem in one way, to be very strict, to give meiser, and Hashem will make you rich. Go on, test me, says Hashem. This mitzvah is an asay for men and ladies. Lihi damois, kapi Hashem, v'holachta b'drachav. It is a mitzvah to copy Hashem by going in his ways. The Torah tells us to go in his ways, v'holachta b'drachav. So I need to know his ways, and then I will know how to copy Hashem. The Torah is like a map, which tells us how to go in the derech of Hashem and copy him. It tells us to go in the path of kindness, shalom, patience, because these are the ways of Hashem. Just like Hashem is kind and generous, so too we should be kind and generous. Just like Hashem is patient and giving to his people, so we should be patient and giving to each other. When we forgive a friend, we are going in the path of Hashem, who forgives us when we do tshuva. You do this mitzvah of copying Hashem every time you are patient and control your anger, every time you love another Jew, every time you control your jealousy, every time you are honest, and every single time you give food or tzedakah or lend money to someone or just help carry something for a parent or a friend or an elderly person. Most of all, Hashem loves when we try to make shalom, peace. This mitzvah is an asay for men and ladies. Lehi davek. Glue yourself to Hashem. Uvoy sidbak. This mitzvah tells me to glue myself to Hashem. But how can I? Hashem has no body to glue to. What it means is become very close to those who are most close to Hashem. And that means Talmidei Chachamim and Tzaddikim. There are three ways to become close to Hashem through a Talmid Chacham or a Tzaddik. To marry the daughter of a Talmid Chacham. To marry your own daughter to a Talmid Chacham. To do business with a Talmid Chacham or a Tzaddik. To eat and drink with them. If we marry their daughter, do business with them, and eat with them, we will learn how a Jew is meant to behave. You do this mitzvah when you serve a Talmid Chacham, spend time with a Talmid Chacham, watch how a Talmid Chacham and Tzaddik lives. For hundreds of generations, Jewish children learned from their fathers and mothers, grandparents and teachers, how to live as Jews and how to become close to Hashem. This mitzvah is for men and ladies. Ahava, love other Jews. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, ani Hashem. This mitzvah means we have to love other Jews. Hashem is really commanding us to look for reasons that will make us love others. Every time we see something good in another person's behavior or midos, and we tell them, we show that we love them. When someone loves a painting that a great painter made, the painter himself feels good. Hashem is the greatest painter. He made us all. And when we show love to each other, we are showing we like what Hashem made, and this makes Hashem extremely happy with us. This mitzvah is so easy. You can do it with your thoughts, with your mouth, and with your actions. You get this mitzvah when you think of what you like about others, when you say what you like about others, when you do any kindness to another Jew, when you say kind words to another Jew, when you think or say what you like about their midos tovos, when you forgive someone for hurting you, you get this mitzvah. When you guard your thoughts from thinking bad about another Jew, when you say thank you, or I admire you, or I like you because, you get this mitzvah. When you write a kind note, or email, or letter, or leave a kind message on a voicemail, you get this mitzvah. When you make shalom, or just smile at someone, you get this mitzvah. And by the way, you are a Jew, so you get this mitzvah when you love yourself too. This mitzvah is an asay for men and ladies. Ahavos hager. Love a convert. Va'ahavtem es hager. We have a special mitzvah to love a non-Jew who converted to be Jewish. Now you have two mitzvahs each time you love a ger tzedek, because he is Jewish and because he or she is a convert. Someone who decided to join the Jewish people and keep all 613 mitzvos instead of just the 7 mitzvahs Hashem gave to the rest of the nations, such a person deserves to be loved even more. Most likely he'll feel lonely because he has no Jewish family, so we must be extra careful to be nice. You get this mitzvah when you think what you like about this special person, when you do any kindness to this special person, when you say kind words to this special person, when you guard your thoughts from thinking bad about him or her, when you say thank you, or I admire you, or I like you because, when you write a kind note or email or letter, when you invite them to your home for Shabbos or Yom Tov, when you plan ways to make their lives better. Hashem commands us that they deserve a double dose of love. This mitzvah can be done in your thoughts, mouth, or your actions. This is an asay for men and ladies. Sinah. Don't hate another Jew. Leisisna es achicha bilvavecha. Don't hate your brother in your thoughts. It is a mitzvah to control your thoughts of hatred to another person. When you get rid of hatred, you live more happily. Hatred is the beginning of many other terrible averos. Hatred feeds lashon hara, machlokas, jealousy, gava, cheating, and lying. Hatred can even lead to killing. Hashem rewards us greatly when we get rid of hatred. He gives us even more reward when it is very hard for us. Hashem cannot wait to shower us with His blessing, and nothing opens His blessings more than turning hatred into shalom. This Avera is why Hashem destroyed the second Beis HaMikdash. This Avera is why we are in such a long and painful golus. We are permitted to hate a Rasha, but it is not a mitzvah. It is, however, a mitzvah to hate a missionary. Everyone else you are not allowed to hate. Most people who live a very long, happy, and healthy life will tell you that they never go to sleep with thoughts of hatred to anyone. Forgiving another person for something they did wrong is also part of this great mitzvah. This mitzvah is a lo yisaseh for men and ladies.